Yeah. What? Uh. Yeah. What's up? What's up? What's up? Another episode of You Can't Play Boxing Podcast. We here. It's a Friday night. A lot of y'all just got paid. I'm not one of the ones who just got paid, but every day above ground is a good day. So, I'm paid like that. So, we got a lot of things going on this episode. Of course, the biggest thing we're going to get into is going to be a preview of that Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence, which kicks off tomorrow night in LA. We're going to also, something new, we're going to get into our top 10 welterweights we got. I'm going to give you my list so you'll kind of see how I think about a few things when it comes to that. And then, I'm going to give you my fight prediction for the fight too. But before we get into all of that, we're going to kind of talk about what's going on out here this weekend. One of the biggest things going out this weekend is we got a lot of new music coming out. So one of the new things that came out is my dude the Baby. He came out with his album. I think it's called Kirk. I listened to it a little bit today, and I fuck with the Baby for real. You know what I mean? Like he can really spit. He got some substance. You know what I mean? He got wordplay. So check out the Baby new album called Kirk. I think it's after his dad who passed away. So I know that could be hard. So check out that album though. It's from what I heard, it sounds pretty good. Another person to check out that came out today is Kevin Gates. New album called I'm Him. With Kevin Gates, man, I fuck with Kevin Gates, but I fuck with him probably as a person, like as far as what I know, as far as interviews and how he presents himself more than the music. I like Kevin Gates songs, but I can't listen to a whole album of Kevin Gates. I could probably listen to like 3 songs max in a row, because that auto-tune shit just kind of drives me a little bit, so I just can't listen to that shit over and over. But he does got some you got some slappers and shit from some of the shit I heard. So, check out his album. If you're a Kevin Gates fan, check out that I'm Him. Then, I live out here in the Bay, so I fuck with a lot of Bay music. One of the dudes came out today is my dude, the Big 5'9", Filthy Rich, hailing out of East Oakland. The Big 5'9" album is kind of like a mixture of Big 5'9" Volume 1 and Big 5'9" Volume 2, which both came out earlier this year. So, Filthy Rich, man, he if you like the Bay music or you haven't been introduced to like Bay Area music, I think he got because some people in the Bay got like a regional sound, but Filthy Rich kind of got like a universal sound. If you like rap, you could probably fuck with him. So, check him out, Big 5'9", out of East Oakland, you know what I'm saying? And then the final thing is we got Young M.A. Besides really her some freestyles, and besides I ain't really heard too much from her, you know what I mean? But the freestyle, she definitely could spit, so I might check it out. But yeah, those are the new music that's been coming out today on this Friday. So if you're a music fan or you're a hip hop fan, tap in. Tell me what you fucking with. Go to our, go to our Instagram. And before I go deeper, I gotta do some house cleaning stuff. Check us out on Instagram at You Can't Play Boxing. That's UCANTPLAYBOXING on Instagram. And of course, I'm your boy Electric Relaxation on Instagram, so you can check me out too. So with that out the way, we're gonna get into the top 10 welterweights. Now I will say on the top 10 welterweights, you can like the top 7, I feel are indisputable. You know what I mean? Like talent-wise and resume, those are the top 7 guys. People 8 through 10, you can say you have other people that have more talent than them. I gave them credit because they've been putting in work. So, for example, somebody in the top, like number 8 or number 9, number 10, Adrian Broner may have more talent than them. He could probably beat them, but he hasn't put in the work and the resume in 147 to put him over them at this point. So, it's all love. You can definitely have your own opinion when it came to certain things and see who you rock with. But for me, this is my top 10 for, You Can't Play Boxing. And feel free to chime in. You can always tell us who you rocking with. So, getting into it, what we're going to do is pull up our list and dive into it. Starting at number 10. Yeah. Number 10, we got somebody who got the talent to be number 1, number 2, but he never had that chin. We're talking about number 10, I got Amir Khan with he's 32 years old. Won 34 times, lost 5 times. Amir Khan, fast as fuck, got talent, Olympian, just never had the chin or heart to withstand the pressure of the top echelon. All right, going into number 9, we got a fighter that puts in work, hard fighter to fight, your Dennis Ugas. He gives you everything, man. He's 24-4, coming out of Miami, 33 years old. Gave Shawn Porter a tough fight. Gave a lot of people tough fights. He never really been out of a lot of his fights. So, Ugas, I got him as number 9. At number 8, I got Sergey Limpinets. Not the most talented dude, but he works hard. You know what I'm saying? He's 16-1, 30 years old, hard fighter. Anybody get in the ring is not going to be an easy fight at all. So should be on the lookout for Sergey Limpinets if you haven't heard of him or seen him. I mean, if you're a boxing fan, you know who he is, but some people who casual may not know who he is. At number 7, this might be controversial. I got Mikey Garcia. Now, some people might be like, man, why you got Mikey Garcia at 147 when he done fought at 135, 140? But hey, his last fight was at 147, and he hasn't said otherwise that he wasn't going to fight at 147. So, I'm going to give him that. Mikey Garcia is 39-1, 31 years old. His only loss was to Errol Spence, and I give him a lot of credit. Even though Errol Spence beat him in most of those rounds, Mikey Garcia went 12 rounds with him, with Errol Spence, who's a much bigger dude. And a lot of the welterweights, bona fide welterweights, haven't been able to do that. So Mikey Garcia is special, man. The one thing I don't know is how much that Errol Spence fight is going to take out of Mikey Garcia. Because when you go through 12 rounds of punishment like that, sometimes it does something to your confidence and how you view yourself as a boxer. So trying to see Mikey Garcia bounce back is going to be interesting. Number 6, we got a guy who straight out of Philly, man. Danny Garcia, 35-2. Only 2 losses was to Keith Thurman and Shawn Porter. Danny Garcia got talent. I think when it comes to like big fights, I'm not sure if he has the mental toughness. Because I think that Shawn Porter broke him down just mentally. And I think Danny Garcia is definitely more talented than Shawn Porter, but he didn't have that drive to beat Shawn Porter. And I think that fight was for him to win. So speaking of Shawn Porter, I got Shawn Porter as my number 5 welterweight. Of course, Shawn Porter fights tomorrow. He's fighting against A guy who's also in the top 5 welterweights, and we'll tell you what I got him as pretty soon. But Shawn Porter, man, 30-2, only 2 losses was to Kell Brook and to Keith Thurman, and he has 1 draw. Shawn Porter, hard fighter. He's not as talented as other fighters, but as far as heart, relentlessness, pressure, he don't back down. So Shawn Porter definitely big fighter. Number 4, I got Keith Thurman, 29-1, 30 years old. Of course, he just lost against Manny Pacquiao recently, like in July. I was at that fight. Keith Thurman, I'm not sure how much he got in the tank left, but he still is a hard person to fight if his heart is in it. But I will say if his heart is not in it, he probably needs to retire, even though he got a lot in the tank. But boxing is something, like I say, it's the name of this podcast. You can't play boxing, so if your heart ain't in it, you can get out there and get hurt. So don't spend the time away from your family, training and doing all of this if you're not really into it. So but that would be my suggestion with Keith Thurman. Even though he a top 5 welterweight, I just say, hey, if your heart ain't in it, bruh, give it up. My number 3 is the guy who just beat Keith Thurman, the legendary, all-time great, 40-year-old, still popping, Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao won 62 times, lost 7, 2 draws. Man, I mean, what more can you say, man? He's still a top 3 welterweight out there right now at 40 years old. All-time great Hall of Famer. So the top 2, who I'm going to have number 1, who I'm going to have number 2. Number 2, I got Terence Crawford, 35-0, bud from Omaha, man. Terence Crawford, I think he got that dog. He know how to box. He a beast. Just at welterweight, he hasn't done as much to me as my number 1 guy. But I want to see him, continue to fight people that he can fight. And my number 1 welterweight, he fights tomorrow night against my number 5. So it's going to be a good fight. We got 2 top 5 welterweights fighting each other. I got number 1, Errol Spence Jr., 25-0, hailing out of that DeSoto, Texas. I actually fucked around in DeSoto, Texas, like a couple years ago for like a family reunion or whatever. So, Errol Spence Jr., man, what more can you say? He got that dog. He got that length. He got that. He's big. I mean, I think at 147, it's hard for people to beat him. But speaking of that, man, we're going to get into that fight that he got tomorrow against Shawn Porter. We're going to preview the fight. I'm going to give you my analysis, and I'll give you my prediction. So right after the break, we're going to take a little time out, and we're coming back with that, all right? What's up? It's that time of the show where we kind of give a shout out to our sponsors. The sponsor today is Anchor. Anchor is everything you need to create your own podcast. You can use Anchor to distribute your show. They'll kind of get it out for you. And all you have to do is do it from your cell phone or your microphone, however you want to do it. But if you want to get your voice out there, if you want to talk to the people, there's no better place to do it than Anchor. So download the app Anchor or go to their website, anchor.com. It'll distribute your podcast on all platforms. So again, Anchor. We back. You Can't Play Boxing podcast. Man, we're going to get into this fight. Big fight tomorrow. Shawn Porter versus Errol Spence. So as I mentioned before, man, Shawn Porter, he had 33 total fights. 30 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw. Of course, we know he lost against Keith Thurman. He lost against Kell Brook. No shame in that. He had a tough fight with your Dennis Ugas recently. Shawn Porter, 5'7", coming out of Akron, Ohio. But he resides in, Vegas right now. If you know Shawn Porter, he don't have as much talent as a lot of the top guys, but he makes up for it in relentlessness, with heart, with passion. He gives you all he got. He typically, stays close to you, try to maul you. He don't give you a lot of room to get your punches off. So Shawn Porter, man, he breaks you down mentally. If you're not coming in that ring ready for a dogfight, Shawn Porter, you fighting the wrong person, because he gonna break you down, and you gotta be ready to come in for a dogfight. You fighting him. So that's my preview of Shawn Porter. It's on the first of it. Then he fighting, who I think is the number 1 welterweight. So I got the number 5 welterweight versus the number 1 welterweight, which is Errol Spence Jr., the Truth. He got no better nickname than that. Errol Spence, 25-0, coming out of that DeSoto, Texas. Errol Spence, 5'9.5", so he got almost 3 inches on Shawn Porter. Errol Spence look about 5'10", to be truthful. Last fight was against Mikey Garcia. He boxed his ass off in that fight. Errol Spence got the size, the length, the boxing ability he's starting to show. Plus, he got that dog in him. He want to hurt you, and he not scared to hurt you. And he got that heart. So, you might say, okay, how do you see this fight playing out? You gave us, who fighting, but how do you see the fight playing out? So how I see this fight playing out, man, is a couple ways. I think the first couple rounds, Shawn Porter going to try to put that pressure on Errol Spence. But I think Errol Spence is going to be working it. He's going to try to get his spacing so he can come off. He's going to try to probably move around the ring a little bit and get his spacing. Shawn Porter going to try to smother him, because he try to smother your punches. So the first couple rounds, I think it might be even, or maybe even Shawn Porter might get those first couple rounds if you're lucky. Around round 3, I think Errol Spence is going to try to start figuring him out, get his spacing right, use that jab, and I think he's going to start figuring Shawn Porter out in those middle rounds. So from round 3 to round 8, or round 7 or whatever, I think Shawn Porter is going to be winning the majority of them rounds and take control of the fight. I do think that Errol Spence and also I think Shawn Porter, I think he's going to get a second win, probably around round 8. So he might sneak around in round 8. But I think when it comes down to it, Errol Spence is going to win a decision. I don't see Errol Spence stopping Shawn Porter, because Shawn Porter, like I mentioned before, he don't give you a lot of room to really get your punches off and to kind of, put a lot of power in your punches, because he smothers your shots. But Errol Spence, he got that size and he got the power to do enough damage to Shawn Porter to win some rounds. I think Errol Spence will win 8 rounds. Shawn Porter win 4 rounds. I'm looking at a unanimous decision. Errol Spence winning it 116 and 112. So that's my preview of the fight. I think now I will say Shawn Porter, I give him like a 20% chance of winning this fight. The 2 ways I can see him winning the fight: if he hit Errol Spence with something that he just wasn't expecting and like kind of get him discombobulated or whatever, he got a small chance of that. But I think he has a better chance, and I'm not saying this, I hope this happens, but Shawn Porter comes in with his head a lot. So if he does a headbutt and knocks a big cut over Errol Spence's eye, and Errol Spence hadn't dealt with that and doesn't know how to deal with that and don't have a good cornerman, then Shawn Porter could make it an ugly fight where Errol Spence got blood dripping down his eye and he don't know how to deal with it, and he can squeak one out. So I wouldn't want to see that, but I think it's a possibility there could be clashes of the head based on the way Shawn Porter fights. And if Errol Spence isn't ready for that, then there may be trouble. Even though he got more talent, when you fighting Shawn Porter, you need to be in there as you better come with your dog food, because it's straight dogs. So that's my prediction. My prediction again, I think Errol Spence wins it. Unanimous decision. Score like 116, 112. He doesn't stop Shawn Porter. So, we're gonna all check out the fight tomorrow. Fight coming out of LA on Fox pay-per-view. So I'm gonna check in the pay-per-view. I wanted to go to the fight, but I gotta handle some stuff out here in the Bay, so I can't make my way down to LA. But I will be watching on pay-per-view. And again, we will be back on Sunday after the fight. We'll see how the fight went. We'll kind of have a quick show. So again, check us out on Instagram at You Can't Play Boxing. That's UCANTPLAYBOXING on Instagram. And you can check me out. I'm Electric Relaxation on Instagram. And until a couple days from now, y'all enjoy the fights. Peace.